Hey there, this has been Eubanks of Lighthouse Research, and want to talk for just 1 second today about this new law that just came out. So we get the number right. The state of Illinois just passed House Bill 2557, and it's all around how employers are regulated using AI in the hiring process. And I understand this from some perspectives, right? Candidates are not always happy with that process. They feel like it's not very transparent, and I completely get that. So here's some of the requirements, the stipulations on employers in the state, and it'll be interesting to see if this kind of follows into other states that are a little more progressive than others. One of the things is employers have to notify their candidates in writing that they're going to be evaluated by AI or an algorithm, right? They have to tell them how it works, what factors it's considering, and they have to give the candidate the chance to opt out of being screened by the AI. Now, what the law doesn't tell us is if I opt out of being screened, am I completely opted out of the process, right? They're not screening me. They're not considering me for the job. I don't know for sure. That's a possibility. One of the things that I wrote about in the book, Artificial Intelligence for HR, where I talked about these kind of processes and tools, is there's an article in The Guardian recently where job seekers said job hunting in the age of AI is, I quote, grim and dehumanizing. I know employer starts out looking for that to become how the process is defined, but it becomes that over time if you're just throwing these things out there to completely be efficient, productive, and pull the humanity out. So the thing they're running into is probably the demand and the push for why this thing came into be. So one of the things I'll say here is that this isn't exactly new, that we're using tools or technologies to screen people. This has been happening for a long time. When I do a search of candidates that have applied for a job, their keyword density in their resume is going to push them higher in the stack. Does that mean they're the better candidate? No, not necessarily. Am I screening every one of those by hand if there are 300 resumes? No, definitely not. And so we've always had some degree of technology screening and serving as an intermediary between the candidates and the resumes and us as the recruiters, as the HR professionals. So we've always had something there, and this is pushed by a lot of the video interviewing tools, things like that are automatically screening and shortlisting people. I get that, but the problem is it's going to be really hard to explain to candidates probably what factors and signals these are considering. Candidates are going to think, oh, I wasn't evaluated by a person, and the company is transparent about that. So now I am going to have a basis to go back and say, hey, this thing didn't look at me the right way, didn't consider me the right way, whatever else, even though now those things can still be happening and they just don't have the transparency. One thing in the law that is very strange, and I have no clue how they're going to enforce this and how the vendors honestly are going to respond to this, is that they require that 30 days after someone does a video interview or an asynchronous video recording for a job, 30 days later, that has to be destroyed. Backups have to be deleted, everything else. That doesn't exist anymore. That's a bad thing for candidates, by the way. So if I apply for a job and it gets down to the final two and I'm not picked, but I'm the runner-up, I'm a great candidate, and the next time the job opens up, they want to call me back. Well, if that happens 31 days from now, I have to start the process all over again. They don't have that video interview anymore. They don't have that content anymore. They don't have that to judge me on. I have to start all over again. So that's not good for the candidates. It's a bad thing. Again, the unintended consequences. They're trying to fix a problem. They're creating other ones. So it'd be interesting to see how that works out. And again, on the other side of that, what happens if a candidate comes back, 45 days after they do the video interview, which a lot of hiring processes can take that long, right? They come back 45 days later after the process is done. They've made a selection. I just found out that I was not picked, and maybe I'm upset about that. And I want to push back and say, how'd you evaluate me? What sort of things were you factoring into this? Well, the problem is, if it's more than 30 days later, the video's gone. So the employer can't justify that. They can't back that up with anything. So that's going to become a problem as well. If you want to learn more about the topic, and again, I've written the book on the topic. I love understanding and researching and discussing these things. I think it's going to be a bigger part of how work works now in the future. I wrote a book, and you can find that at aihrbook.com. Thank you, everybody.